Let's go.
Bingetown, how we feeling tonight? It's your boy Dave here with co-hosts Beth Harmon, Johnny Dogs, and Jim. We are so excited to bring you guys season 6 of Peaky Blinders. It has been quite a while since we had the airing and debuting of season 5. We have been on the edge of our seats wondering what the fuck is going to be happening. Luckily for us, we got the screeners. You know what's good. We're loving that. We love the access. We can just get right into it with just general thoughts of the episode, I guess, now that we're back in biz, the Shelby business.
Let's do a little pause here. So we know that it dropped on BBC and it's been months now. Have any of you guys had any spoilers at all?
No.
Has
one.
Yeah, we've been pretty damn good.
The only thing I do know is the actor who plays Uncle Jack.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been out for a while. We have plenty of tweets that we tweet about Peaky Blinders. People do try to tweet back at us because they think it's funny and try to say some spoilers, but we're usually pretty good at not seeing them, and I don't think I've seen any.
No.
So
honestly, the only thing was going into this episode, and I guess this is whatever because unfortunately we know that that Polly had passed away in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew like 100% that it was going to be in episode 1.
Okay,
that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Luke were actually kind of talking back and forth, like right beforehand, just like asking each other, like, "Oh, is Polly in this season?" Like we couldn't remember what the verdict was on it, and if they had to go back and reshoot certain scenes. But definitely, rest in peace. It was such a tragic loss. Obviously, it affects the show to a great end, and I think they did a pretty good send off for her, honestly, with just the emotions of all the main characters being there and how it's affecting everyone. So I think it brings.
Yeah, it sucks that we had to get rid of Aunt Paul, one of the best characters in the show, but they did give her a nice send off. They gave her a great, in memory of at the end, which is perfect with the no music in the background, exactly what she deserves at the very, very least. We do have a lot of fans here across the ocean, so that means a lot of you guys have seen all of these episodes. One of the things we do here on BingetownTV is Rooks and Vets. Okay, so you guys can be our vets. You can listen in on this podcast, know what's happening next, and hear our theories and say these guys are geniuses or these guys are freaking assholes. Let us know on Twitter. Let's get this party started, guys.
I want to say a couple things before we get into the actual episode, because this is our first real piece of content that Bingetown's putting out on Peaky Blinders. If you've listened to any of our like off the cuff Patreon episodes, or even probably just in passing almost on any show I'm on at least covered, I mention all the time how much I fucking love this show. I've been watching this show now for like 6 or 7 years. I've been following it. It's been amazing. It's not my normal it's not my favorite type of genre. Like I'm a little bit lower on Breaking Bad than the average person. I still love it and all that. But this show to me is so carried by Cillian Murphy. You like that, Jimmy? Cillian?
I like it.
Yeah,
I hate
it. I hate how it sounds, but I like that you pronounce it correctly.
It's correct. Yeah,
it's so carried by Cillian Murphy's acting, and I put his acting performance as Tommy Shelby on my what the fuck's
top like performance?
What am I thinking?
Your
of?
Mount
Rushmore. Yes, I put it
there
on my
you
Mount
go.
Rushmore with like Heath Ledger and I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock, and then who else am I always saying is the best is
Anthony Starr's Homelander.
Anthony Starr's Homelander. Those are literally the first 4 I think of as like best performances ever. So like I'm just passionate about this show. Anytime Tommy's on the screen, I'm just a rider. I fucking love it. So I'm really happy that we're finally getting to talk about this show. And there's a couple of strong opinions I want out there that I wrote down as I was rewatching seasons 1 to 5, just so you guys know what kind of fan I am coming into the show, just like the kind of things I'm here for. And the first that's going to be totally controversial is I have been Team May over Team Grace since season 2. So just having that out there, I am not a Grace fan. Fuck her.
So let me actually say this.
Wow.
I got a pulse on the Peaky fandom because we have a Peaky fan account, just because we love Peaky Blinders. And that's not actually that much of a hot take now that I've actually been doing this Twitter for a while. I did Twitter tweet saying Grace or May, and it is pretty like 50-50. But when you say 50-50, it's like the Grace people are strong Grace bias, and the May people are strong May bias. And I actually saw a lot of people saying F Grace, and we're with May, but we're also with
Lizzie.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
I'm team Lizzie over Grace too. Like
Yeah.
I just, I just was never the biggest Grace fan. But two other things I want to put out there too is just my opinions, heavy opinions, is I thought on my rewatch, like I think Polly is one of the best characters like on the show. I think it's season 3 is where she sucks for a little bit. But then she like comes back. She's amazing in season 5 again when she's back in her like mob boss like second role. Like she's incredible. So that's why I'm very, very hesitant to see like how this season's treated. But I will say off the top that the time skip does a lot for me in helping it not feel weird that Polly's gone from the show, because like she's still such a main piece of this show at the end of the finale of season 5. So it was like tough for me to like see that, but I think we're going to be able to, I think it's going to make sense. And it seems like Michael's going to have a lot of motivation based on that, which is totally fine. And then here's my last opinion is that I thought Michael through the first 3 seasons was almost right up there with Tommy as my favorite character ever. And then it's just like a complete cliff fall. And I think we're probably all on the same page where fuck Michael this season. He's going to be the absolute antagonist.
I think he's going to be the big bad. Like, I know Jack Nelson's like the one that they've been hyping up, but I could totally see it being like, okay, we eliminate him early and now it's Michael's show that we have to deal with. And I'm with you, Luke. Like seasons 1 to 3 or 2, when did you get introduced to or at 1?
It was season 2.
Yeah, so 2 to
maybe was it season
4?
1?
No, it was 1, wasn't it?
It was 1. It actually was 1.
Was it the end of 1? Either way, great up until literally last season where he like the stock exchange crashes and it's like all his fault and he could have easily pulled him out, and then he just keeps digging himself in this hole of not being loyal to the Shelbys, which I get that he wants his own life, but you also wanted in with the Shelbys in the first place. So like this comes with the territory, my guys. So
it started with the whole scenario where he was in the hospital and he could have told Tommy that he was about to die and he didn't. And it was allowable that he said, I chose my mom over you, because it really was one or the other pretty much in his head. So that's technically allowable. And Tommy, of course, had to do what he had to do, and Aunt Paul understood by sending him to America, because he really did sandbag Tommy in that situation. He stopped him, was about to tell him, then just said, see you later, bro. Yeah, so, man. But then after that, then it starts getting to the point where you can't really like him as one of our guys. I mean, I still enjoy him. I do enjoy him as a character.
Totally. He's great.
I know Kyle has his thumbs down over here, but I know you think he's a poser. I know you're not a poser, Kyle.
He's just a dollar store Tommy. He just thinks that he's like about to be the big dog on campus. I mean, a lot of it is that Gina's sucks. I mean, I know we like ATJ, but she just sucks as a character. I feel like she's just whispering in his ear that he can be this big dog.
Well, we're talking about the fact that Michael might be the big bad. Well, maybe it's Gina that's the big bad.
I would prefer that.
She could be the black cat. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking love Gina. I don't care. I am so
you're biased.
You're
biased by Queen's Gambit, and I don't even care because I know
your name is literally
sucks.
Beth Harmon.
Yeah. I know Gina sucks. I know probably everybody hates her, but I don't care. I'm gonna ride for her like Kyle rides for Johnny Dogs because I love Beth Harmon.
Oh.
Johnny Dogs, baby. Johnny Dogs got a couple shouts this episode. No appearance.
Bro. No appearance. Multiple wives, multiple kids, my boy.
Yeah. And you do whatever Johnny says.
Damn right.
Johnny Dogs, boys, trust him no matter what. Let's get started. Let's do it.
So normally when we cover shows like this, we like to go in depth and we like to do character or plot buckets, I should say. But for this, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to go through the episode as it was laid out. I'll give like a quick description of like a couple scenes, and then we could just talk about everything that happens in them and, bring up quotes, bring up favorite parts, least favorite parts, whatever. So season 6, episode 1, Black Day. This picks up actually the second after the end of last season, and it's right after Tommy's suicide attempt. We see him laying in the cornfield by himself, and clearly it didn't work. And then Lizzie confronts him. We have that conversation, and then this leads to the Tommy like rezzing himself, going back to the house and getting the phone call that all of the bodies of his failed assassination attempt on Mosley are outside his front door. And then we get the whole reveal before the time skip happens that Aunt Paul is unfortunately dead. So a lot happens there, but whatever you guys want to talk about.
We spoke very quickly, briefly, rather, about Polly. Was trying to find my foot in there. I found it. And I just want to mention, because obviously I think that's going to be the bulk of the combo. I was shocked that it was the IRA that did all that shit. Me and Alki spoke about maybe a couple weeks ago about who we thought it was. I thought Michael was like the obvious red herring of they leave on the bad foot. Gina's like plan B or whatever. But Alki put this in my head, and I was like so set that it was going to be Churchill. Like I thought it was going to be the British government was like, nah, we can't let this happen yet. So the IRA definitely threw me for a loop.
I honestly thought that it was going to be Finn as a mistake, like he did to the guy. Forgive me, I forget his name. The guy was helping them fix the football games.
Yeah.
They did the red herring there where he picks up the phone as soon as Finn says. But I wasn't going to say necessarily it was that situation, but they were hinting the entire season that Finn was just like getting hammered, banging chicks, shooting guns, and talking his ass off. So I kind of thought it was going to be one of those things, and Tommy was going to have to figure out what to do and how to deal with a brother who screwed him over.
Well, are we sure that he didn't call the IRA? Did I miss something there?
No. I just definitely not confirmed of okay, you're right. It's not confirmed who called the IRA. I'm still honestly pretty much Team Michael at this point because I'm anti-Michael.
I don't think so. I think it was the guy fixing football bets, the singer.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. He did. I don't know. Are we going to get a flashback to who he picked up the phone, or is it just fully a red herring? But technically, and you can't really accept the fact the IRA is just going to say we're the big dogs and we have all the information without telling us who gave them that information. So I'm sure we probably will get it.
Laura was awesome. I'm all in on how she's made one quick appearance last season. Maybe it was two quick appearances. And then she sets this phone call up and she's putting Tommy in his goddamn place like nobody's business. Like that was insane. And then she says we had to take your crutch in this. And that's hinting at, you don't know at this point, but that's hinting at Polly. And that's pretty much the best way you can describe Polly Gray is Tommy's crutch. She makes it all work. And then you saw whenever they were at odds, like throughout the last 5 seasons, there was so much chaos within the show, like internally, because they're not together. So like seeing how Tommy's going to grow over this 4-year time skip and like whatever his plans are without having Polly being there and also having Michael being an enemy is going to be super fucking interesting.
It's funny because when they're talking about the crutch, I didn't piece it together yet that it was going to be Polly. I literally was thinking, they're still on that.
I did right away.
I thought they were still on that Aberama Gold rant because we saw right before like the flashback of him getting stabbed. I was like, Aberama Gold is definitely like another crutch. Absolutely. Like that was another like subsidiary branch of the Shelby Incorporated or whatever the fuck it's called. But
Shelby Company Limited, bro.
Yeah, Shelby Company Limited. Sorry.
What did you burn the business card when you got it?
Right.
I did. But I was just, and then they got the reveal that it was Polly, and I was like, okay, well, obviously this makes a lot more sense, and that is the biggest crutch.
We were watching, and I said that's Polly, and Dave goes, I think he would have a more intense reaction, and it's like 3 seconds later, Polly.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also for the Polly funeral scene, I thought it was first of all, love that we get the face of everyone. I believe Dave mentioned that a couple minutes ago. Reminded me of how much I loved the opening of season 5 when we get like where everyone's at. And especially Polly had the best opening in the beginning of season 5 when she's in fucking Monte Carlo, fucking the pilot. But I just really noticed how everyone is wearing their Peaky Blinders flat Jeff cap, and Michael is not.
Yep,
he's not
he
wearing.
Is not wearing it.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's wearing just that regular, like I don't even know what
bowler hat or whatever.
He's
the bowler
tipping
hat
the cap, dude. But yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of a hint from Lizzie how Tommy is after the whole Aunt Polly death, and it's emotionless, no more drinking. She can't get anything out of him, and if she's saying now she can't get anything out of him, my gosh, she never got anything out of him in the first place, pretty much. So he must really be secluded and isolated since Aunt Polly's death.
I will say though, Lizzie on my rewatch has grown on me a lot, and
I was
it's
thinking the
yeah.
same
it's
thing.
definitely partially because of the idea that she's going to be a really great character in Wheel of Time. I think.
Yes. Yeah, she's gonna be a big Wheel of Time character.
Yeah, so I love seeing her now.
I was gonna make that comment too, because Lizzie, I think all of the female characters have like grown on me so much. Maybe besides like Arthur's wife.
Oh,
Well, yeah, she better
fuck
not
her.
grow on
But
you.
no, but like Ada has been like watching her grow up, and like just seeing Ada and Lizzie just be kind of just at the bottom of the totem pole. Like like their input never really mattered in season 1. Like they would just kind of take it with a grain of salt and be like, okay, like that was a stupid idea. But now like they actually have some power in the organization, and they're able to like, and especially with Ada's situation, like she's the sister to all these the heads of the family, so she has to have that in. So it's been really great watching those two specifically kind of become women in power in this show.
Ada Stan.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
love Ada,
noticed
too.
last
Facts.
season. Yeah, you noticed last season when it came to Ada that she was like taking over the poly role a little bit, where he
Yeah,
was
definitely.
falling apart, and she was actually being called by Tommy, and Tommy was showing up. And you saw the scenes at the end of the season where he's calling everybody, and you see that Ada is one of the people he calls, but he's actually shown up at her house before needing help when he's about to have a big issue. When he's falling apart, he goes to Ada, and I have a feeling that's what he's going to do this season if he needs her. I mean, Lizzie, when it comes to Lizzie, there's something to be said about having like that wife. If you're Tommy Shelby, Tony Soprano, Nucky Thompson, any of these mob bosses, you have to have the wife that where, what was it, last season where Lizzie was finally like, okay, I signed up for this. I know what this is.
Exactly.
I am, going to be your wife. And you don't have someone like Linda coming at you and being your moral compass 24/7.
They got to be down with the Gumars, essentially.
Last thing I'll say on Ada before we can move on though is no one says the word fuck better than her actress in this entire show. She crushes it. There are 2 great parts in this entire episode. Where she does.
Yeah. It's
Are we
all
good?
it's all Arthur's fault too, man.
100%. So we good pre-time skip here?
Yeah, let me just say really quick though, the part where he first wakes up, he's face down, the graphics, the scenery, everything that you see here, he pulls up after Lizzie gives him shit, and half of his face, he's straight up Two-Face, man. Half his face is perfectly mud, and the other face is beautiful Cillian Murphy, and it's just like symbolism unbelievable. It's just an amazing graphic.
Yeah,
hit me right in. Like I saw that and I was like, okay, that's definitely it's just a representation of what's going on the inside right now.
Yeah.
All right. So now we get the big time skip, which me and Dave both made like audible noises when this happened.
I did too.
Like, 4 years is a long time. That's
Yep.
like a good amount of time for things to change and happen. And I was like, I could have seen like a 1 or 2. I would have never guessed 4 years.
Especially when you say, I believe it was last season where Tommy's having a conversation. He says, we came back 10 years ago from the war. So if you say in season 1 through season 5 is about 10 years, now you're skipping 4 to get to season 6. Damn.
No. Okay. So I looked it up actually. So the season 1 took place in 1919 and the stock market crash happens in 1929, I think.
Yeah.
So
29.
yeah. So 4 years later, now it's 1933. So between season 1, episode 1 and now where we're at, it's been 14 years.
Yeah. So 1 through 5 is the 10 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Okay. So I'm saying if you think about everything we watched in 5 seasons, there's 10 years there. Now we're getting 4 of those 4 years, 4 more years getting added on. That's almost half. That would be like saying we missed 2 seasons of this show.
Yeah. Right. So where we take place, though, this was pretty surprising to me. I actually had no idea where it was until context clues came out later. We're in a French territory island called Miquelon Island.
Miquelon.
And yeah, Miquelon Island, and it's in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's an important spot because it's outside of the jurisdiction of both Canada and America.
Because it's French owned.
Yes,
French
exactly.
owned.
So this is like where we're taking place. And then this whole section we can, before we like move on to other scenes, I'm going to just like encapsulate in like Tommy showing up to the bar. Mikey Stache gets introduced because that's what we're gonna fucking call him now.
Mikey Stache.
And
Mikey
so we have
Stache, though, the music.
oh
when
my
Mikey
god,
Stache gets
bro.
introduced, dude,
Oh
that electric
my
guitar or whatever that
God.
was, bro. Oh my god.
I told Luke, I
getting
was like, this
so
music
hyped.
is tough. This is tough.
Yeah, dude. I don't fuck with Michael, but that scene, I was like, okay, all right.
So let's just talk through all of that stuff, including like Tommy being in the bar, and then also like the business meeting ending with him setting up Michael through the call. So like
Yeah.
all of those scenes we can just kind of
Okay.
talk through.
Well, we
now.
can take it as part one, I guess, as pre-meeting.
Sure.
This is just classic Tommy Shelby being a fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know where this was going. I was shocked that he doesn't drink anymore, and he kind of was like on the back. Okay, they got me because I'm thinking like Tommy's a little bit on the back foot right here. Like, how's he gonna respond to all these people in the bar? Like a fucking boss. Like
Like
Tommy's
a
was-
boss.
Luke's exact reaction was like, why do I even think? Like, why do I even hesitate for like in these moments for Tommy? Like, he's just a
Yeah.
fucking badass. Like the shot of what does he shoot first before the bird? It
He
was like
shoots,
the
he
the
shoots the
telephone.
phone,
Yeah, the telephone.
and then he turns and pops the fucking dove that's floating
Yeah.
in the air. Like
There's a
Jesus,
pigeon, bro.
a
Yeah, the
pigeon, yeah.
Dude, that was literally that's honestly just one of those small scenes that I'm just gonna remember Peaky Blinders by.
And that was the origin story of the Joker, man. You wanna know how I got these scars? That guy just got sliced
Pretty
across
much,
the
yes.
face. It looked like it was his mouth, but Tommy got him good, man.
I'm glad
I
they
did
gave
like
us
the
some action.
I like the little bit of, I guess, world building, you could say, of like where we're at, like Prohibition has ended,
Mhm.
what's like the, I guess, quote unquote, political situation on the island, political and economic. Everyone there is out of a job now.
Mm-hmm.
And it ties in perfectly with Tommy's quote at the end of after the meeting. But I just like that. It felt like we were in the fucking hotel with them, and like this show's tense.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask this right now. I asked this to Luke at like pretty much a little bit after the scene, but how long does it take? How many episodes does it take for Tommy Shelby to start drinking again?
Dude, I thought he was gonna at the end of the
Yeah.
episode.
I literally said end of. I was like end of one. Luke was like, I'll give
I
it
said
2
that-
episodes.
I said 2.
He's a man of
I hope-
principle, man. I don't know.
Well, there's gonna be a movie, right?
Yeah, there is.
He's
Yeah.
not-
I could
he's
see it,
not
like, if
not touching
If this was the
alcohol.
end, like I could see him like dying and like taking a sip of whiskey, but I'm gonna say he's not. He's gonna. Oh no, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Damn. It's interesting because if you remember from season 5, Oswald said, "Don't drink anymore, drink less." He said, actually.
Yo,
Oh my
so
god!
true.
Wow, yeah,
He
that's
said, "Drink less."
And you know what's funny is as I was getting ready, I'm pouring up a fucking glass of whiskey that Tommy would look at this and think it's like the girliest chick
Yeah.
drink like ever. It's like it tastes like candy basically. But I said to him, I'm gonna drink whatever Tommy drinks, and I'm sitting here like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? He gives up drinking right when I make this rule. But
That's
the
so
thing that
funny.
he does say to the pissed off guy in the bar,
Yeah,
he says,
Jean-Claude.
yeah, he says, since I've forsworn alcohol, I've become a calmer and more peaceful person.
Yeah.
And then a second later, he basically just says, like, but I could slip back into my old tendencies when I need to. And that's when he
Mhm.
does the shooting. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
he's a beast. He learned a
One
lot
other-
of things in France.
One
He's the
other
man.
comment I have is that no one in any TV show, movie, anything of all time makes me want to smoke a cigarette more than Tommy.
Oh
Shelby.
my gosh.
Oh, of course.
No,
He,
look,
like rubs it on his lips and then just like throws it in
So-
there. I'm like, oh, that's tough.
Fun fact, since our Bingetown TikTok likes to do some TV facts now at Bingetown TV podcast on TikTok, Tommy Shelby does that for one reason. And Cillian Murphy said that when they gave him the cigarettes, every time he was doing it, it would get stuck to his lips, the way that the cigarettes were made, because they're herbal fake cigarettes.
Mhm.
So he said he had to wet it first, and that's why he would rub it against his lips. And then after he did it once, he just started doing it because he had to for each cig.
It's so
Okay.
And then
cool.
people started to say like, "Oh, that's pretty freaking cool."
It's
And
fucking
he's like,
cool.
"All right."
I thought
I
it was
should have
for-
watched that TikTok because I could have sworn it was going to be a thing that he's like secretly like micro dosing on opium. Like he has opium dipped cigarettes.
I always
That-
thought it was that like he was trying to get the flavor of like the tobacco on his lips, so when he drinks whiskey, like I don't know if you guys know, like I'm Jamie, I'm sure you know that's a thing, but like
Next
cigars
level.
and whiskey, you know how you,
Oh, okay.
so it's kind of
Why are you sure I know? Because I'm older and I smoke
I thought I
cigars. Dude.
yeah, I was gonna say
I'm distinguished.
you've been
Definitely
around
the
block.
second one, not the first one.
But no, I just thought it was like for the purpose of like making whiskey better, but then he did it after claiming that he didn't drink. So I was like, okay, well, that throws that out the window.
I just want to tell a quick story because you're totally right, man. When you watch Peaky Blinders, I just want to smoke cigs all day, right? And I went the other day to pick up dinner for me and my fiance, and there's this lady smoking a cig out front. I'm like, that's disgusting, dude. Like, it's so bad in real life, but like when you see Tommy do it, and anyone in like the TV shows, you're like, that's freaking cool, man.
What do you, Jimmy? What do you guys call it?
Blasting off, man. Yeah, you're gonna blast off.
All right, let's get to Mikey Stache because he shows up to the bar, and like this is Peaky Blinders, where we're actually getting to see the insight of like what business meetings are going on in Tommy's head, and you're talking about. We get introduced to this character, Uncle Jack, who is the idea of this character, Uncle Jack, who is Anya Taylor-Joy's
uncle,
Gina Gray's uncle. He's the big guy in Boston, and we find out later in the episode through more conversations, like he is the big guy. Like he's going to the White House, like he's an international level. And Tommy is reaching out to Michael to do this whole continuation from season 5, where we're going to try and start distributing opium in America. And this is like the big boy business. It's like a total step up from everything we've seen before this. And we get to see all these contacts in the room.
And it's funny how they're having this conversation, and Tommy does start laying out the plan, and he says, I want to work with people I trust. And everyone looks at Michael and starts kind of laughing, like they're rolling their eyes at him and stuff. But the truth is, Tommy trusts Michael to do business, when he could be the adversary, he could be on the other side of the table, but he knows if they agree on something and it has to do with money, Michael will get it done. Not that he won't like backstab him personally or anything, but he knows the business side of things will get done, which is interesting.
Did you see that?
Yeah, you just zoomed in.
I was frozen, so my camera actually has been having issues recently. Like I actually just got it to work this morning. It was fucked up for 2 days, and so I was frozen, and then it just zooms in. Oh, that was embarrassing.
Looks good though.
But one thing I will say is like she was like, oh yeah, like or not she, but Mikey Mustache and his gang, they were all like, oh, he's important. He sees the president. I was like, well, fucking Tommy Shelby meets with Winston Churchill, so
yeah, right.
That's not really that impressive.
You smoke cigars with Winston Churchill, man.
Not at all. Yeah. I thought it was nice too that we get a little bit of like that verbal sparring right away from Tommy and Mikey Stache. Like Tommy basically tells him like, it takes a long time to get revenge on powerful people, which is like Tommy is also experiencing that while Michael is experiencing that from the totem below Tommy himself. So I like that little innuendo. But this was the scene I was kind of shocked because I was writing it in my notes as like Michael and his boys and Michael and the boys. And then we get that other guy who I don't know if we ever get his name, I guess is actually like the head of the squad. So I had to flip my notes to the boys and Michael.
Yeah, like you take it like, especially with your music and his intro, because Mikey Stache, man, you thinking he's like up in the world, and he has risen in America, but Dave, you're zoomed out again.
I fixed it.
Yeah. Well, now you're in a weird box. You're not like fully
fiddle with this, and you guys got it.
You're not in your box. You're like you have a movie thing, like the black sides on these. There you go. There she is. But yeah, I mean, he obviously has risen in whatever he's doing in the United States, mainly seems like because of Gina and the uncle and her connections. But at the same time, this guy did seem like he was calling the shots. I mean, he actually told Tommy, sit back down and you'll get up when I say you'll get up, even though Tommy, he ended the meeting when he wanted to, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it was weird. Like Michael sat center, and I guess he sat center because he's the one who knows Tommy and he's the one who can do most of the talking. But I was a little surprised that Michael wasn't straight up the actual big dog.
I don't have any other comments for this conversation.
The one comment I will say is that I'm going to mention the poem that he actually ends up reciting, which is called A Poison Tree by William Blake. And it's funny that they stop him, like Michael stops him from keep reciting the poem. Because if he actually said the whole thing, essentially it's just that, like, patiently taking this idea of revenge against someone you hate, and like as long as you keep growing that emotion, like you'll kill that person eventually. So
Damn.
just thought it was interesting. Yeah, that Michael is the one who stops him after the first whatever quartet or quadrant, whatever you call them. Yeah, but if the rest of the poem is basically the idea of like someone who hates someone else takes that feeling, eventually grows it into an apple tree, and that apple ends up killing the person that they hate.
Tommy's a thinking man.
Yeah, he is.
He can't
Just
sleep.
like Alfred, right?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
Thinker.
hell yeah.
Sober Tom.
He can't sleep, so he has to do. My gosh, we're talking about King Alfred from Last Kingdom. I'm gonna bring up Moon Knight, Stephen Knight. All right, is that his name?
Stephen Grant.
Stephen Grant. Thank you. Gosh.
I only
Stephen
know
Knight.
that because my manager's name is
Stephen
Stephen
Knight,
Grant.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Did I just throw
Stephen
my
Grant. He
boss?
just learns everything about Egypt. Learns Egyptian because he can't sleep. He stays up at night. I guess you got to stay up all night and learn.
That's true. I guess it's also important to mention that Tommy plants the idea of that there's an informant in their organization.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For
That's
sure.
Huge.
I thought that was going to be like a mystery thing, gets resolved like a couple of scenes later.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna. The only other thing that happens outside of like in this bucket that I have written down is Tommy immediately goes and, he sets up Michael to get stopped with the opium, and it's cool that he's using the name Mr. Jones, which was part of Michael's plan from last season. But we'll put a pin in that now because we can talk about that in the Gina scene a little bit later.
Right.
So
I guess quickly, I don't know if you were about to say this and I just stepped on your toes, but just like in general, what's going on in England?
That's what.
Yeah, it's just that Johnny Dog's kids are running wild and ruining Christmas.
Don't worry, bro. I wrote Shelby children plus Johnny Dog's kids.
They're joking about whom, and then it shows us Lizzie and Ada and all these kids, and I'm like, Tommy didn't have all these kids. And then as soon as they say Johnny's kids, I'm laughing my ass off.
Yeah, Johnny's at the bar. She's got to call the bar and be like, yo, is there someone named Johnny there? Tell him to get home. It's Christmas.
It's funny how that works, man, because Tommy had to do that before. When he's looking for Johnny, he calls down to the town and he's like, yo, is there somebody like doing, I forget what they said. He might have been singing or selling or something. All right, if he's wearing this hat, is okay. Call him and tell him, call him and tell him I need him right now.
Yeah, it's pretty. And then also the Arthur side of it is perfect. That Arthur's just like drugged up and fucked up and is supposed to be Santa, but literally can't stand.
Dude,
I wasn't expecting it to be heroin / opium. Like the first scene where he's on the stairs as Santa, well, the suit's all over the floor. I thought he was just hammered like he always is. But then we obviously get the reveal that it's opium later, which is going to be a big problem.
I love you, Ada.
Yeah.
And then another, you get it. It's kind of like a mini like skip later where he goes down to Chinatown, and then racist Carl and Ada get the call, and then because
this is one of your big F words, dude.
Yeah, it is. I literally wrote it. She goes, "Fuck."
Yeah, there you go. I was waiting for you to say it.
We hate Carl, right? Carl Thorne, like Freddie Thorne's kid with her, because he in last season is racist, right? He was super against Ben Younger.
Yeah.
And like that whole idea. So like he clearly has like fucked up morality and shit. And I don't know how important he's gonna be, but he's the oldest because he was conceived in season 1. Like he's the oldest of all of the quote unquote new generation outside of Finn and Michael, I guess.
Well,
so who
really
knows
quick,
how important he's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Carl. We didn't see anything or hear anything about Finn, right?
Not yet.
He was at the funeral.
Well, yeah, but I mean, after the time skip. No. So that's something to think about, just because, we have pretty much gotten what's good for every character that we care about.
Yeah.
Except for Finn.
I wonder if he has stepped up slightly because Arthur is obviously now just a worthless drug addict, it seems.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he looks aged, because he's kind of like before the time skip, the age of an actor where you would notice the age up, right? Because he was like going from like, I don't know, what was he, 16 to 20?
Like 18-ish.
Yeah, or something like around there.
Yeah. I also think that Ada's behavior in the, opium den, I'll call it, felt very Polly-esque. I feel like she wrote Arthur's name on him and was like, who this fucking is? Like, if you ever sell him shit again, who Tommy Shelby is? Like, you're going to die, basically.
I like that comparison a lot. It's just Ada's stepping up into a role that she's more than capable of, and we love that.
She doesn't want it. She
doesn't want it.
Like, I don't work for him anymore. I can't answer the phone.
Yeah, she doesn't want it, but if you're going to spend that much time around your family who's like infamous, like you're just gonna get tied into it no matter what. Like unless she literally goes off somewhere by herself, she's just gonna keep getting brought back in.
I'll watch her fix problems any day of the week.
Hell
bro.
yeah.
If she dies, I'm off the show. So that's just he's the only untouchable.
Luke's
besides
gonna move over to the boys
yeah,
coverage if she dies. I mean, Carl's a sketch bag, man. He's just sitting in Tommy's office, hands crossed, brooding into the fireplace. I mean, I don't know. He seems like
he
a sketch bag.
idolizes Michael.
Yeah, right.
Who do you think is in this new generation, like built to be the head of the family? Probably Finn.
No, Michael.
Well, I mean, Michael wants to be. He tried to do it.
I think Michael's Ixnay.
Oh, he said. Oh, you're saying like right now? I mean, Michael's totally done. No way.
So who would it fall to then?
I mean, it's just like anything. I guess it would be Finn. He's the last brother.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my Arthur Shelby voice, Isaiah.
Well, yeah, right.
But he's not a Shelby.
They changed his actor in season 5, man. Our boy
did.
from the 100.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick aside here for the Norfolk prison in Boston, where Beth Harmon, where Gina Gray goes to pick up Mike, or at least have a conversation with Michael, who is now already in prison because Tommy ratted him out.
Yeah, hilarious. What were you gonna say, Kyle?
I was gonna say that the actor that is now Isaiah is in Wheel of Time too.
Yes, he's a tinker, right?
Yeah, that's Aram from Wheel of Time.
Yes. Wheel of Time, just throwing out the hooks and reeling all of our good actors in, man.
Yeah.
They saw Peaky, they're like, we're taking a couple of you.
Yeah. Last
Smart.
Kingdom, let's grab some of you.
Yeah,
Peaky,
true.
Bring it on in.
It's very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in Boston.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I honestly,
that's all I was gonna say.
I'm glad that it wasn't like a couple episodes for Michael to like get caught. I'm glad that it just like transitioned to him in prison and we get that immediate interaction with him and Gina, because we know, as we said, that Gina has never been one for the Shelbys, and if anything, she's whispering in Michael's ear to get away from them.
Yeah.
So this scene to me, I actually really enjoyed this scene, just seeing how Michael, he was still like pretty composed in the beginning and of just like, listen, you just got to listen to me. And she's like freaking out, and and then he just stands up and he's like, all right, well, this is the plan. You're going to have like so-and-so, but I thought it was a really good interaction at the end of the day. Like just seeing those two together and how they operate, they're so toxic for each other at the end of the day.
I was going to say, you like how he just bullies her into silence.
Yeah, when we see her introduced for the first time, like she comes in hot with like all the drugs, sex and everything. So
she's the best. That's why.
I mean, she's an interesting character because exactly like you said, Dave, she's face down on the floor when you first meet her. And in this episode, she's getting hammered. She's pounding whiskey or scotch or whatever it is, like by the shot as she's talking to Tommy, but she's also super intelligent, super capable. She's pretty much half of or more of the plan that came about by Michael in season 5. And she obviously made all this happen for him in season 6 so far. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the bigger dog than Michael.
She's definitely picked up a lot from her uncle, because you can tell even in that interaction with Tommy, like she holds her ground for a while until Tommy flips the switch on her. But she definitely has confidence and not really a fear of going against someone who would be considered like, stronger than her.
You gotta be afraid of Tommy.
Nah, I think she's incredibly naive. I think she thinks she's a much bigger dog than she is. She just she's insulting Tommy like the whole time at the meeting, and then Tommy like you said flips the switch on her, and then she's just like, I don't know. I think she thinks she's a much bigger dog than she actually is because her uncle is a big dog.
That is true too.
I think compared to Michael, I think she's bigger. But I think in general, no way.
Yeah, but because she's the niece. But I feel like the two of them are perfect for each other. And I think it's funny. They're both, I guess it is ironic in that Michael's like, oh, Tommy, like you don't understand your limitations. Your ambition has no limits. And then she is saying to Tommy, like, your little man is hitting the big time now. Like you're not in England anymore. But like, it was the same way for her. Like when she went to England, she was a nobody and she was silent and just whispering in Michael's ear. And then Michael, his whole thing now is he wants to pretty much like take down Tommy and like be this big dog. So his ambition is the same thing as Tommy's.
Yeah, and it's this whole conversation is cool because Michael's freaking out saying I'm in jail because of an informant. And I was wondering how quick or if ever we were going to find out, or the viewers knows, but if Michael was going to find out that Tommy got him, and we find out ASAP pretty much. But it is cool how Tommy pretty much said, you have an informant. They busted the informant. It buys him just enough time for them to be like, how did Michael get busted? Well, an informant. And then when Tommy's ready to bust his ass, he's like, yo, bro, I got you.
Yeah. No, I think that's important because it shows that like Tommy is ready to clean out all of the rats of this American business. So he's getting all of these fucking people out of Uncle Jack's, like the underlings under Uncle Jack that can't be trusted. Because if you're doing one of his plans, you need to be someone that can be held accountable. So I like that little bit where they're just gonna clean up all these little fucking sketch bags and get them out of there because Tommy's coming in and makes some fucking opium business.
And I think he's buying. It seems to me like he's buying a lot of Uncle Jack's people out. Because I mean, like when he first arrives onto that island, he tips the guy like pretty heavily. Even the bartender, when he's leaving, he gives like a pretty good fat stack of cash. And I think he's just like making these subtle moves like that. I don't know if this was on purpose, obviously, or not, but I think it'd be cool if those little subtle moves of just like extra cash a little your way, maybe you help me out like down the line, like maybe that bartender becomes a big thing and like it's like, okay, this guy's a good customer, like even though he's anti Uncle Jack, like still can work from, like I could benefit off him.
I just thought of this, but Gina gives me like Finn vibes. She is pretty much the Finn of Uncle Jack's organization.
Bro, relax. Unless you're saying Finn is just captivating and awesome.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's obviously very attractive, but like she just acts like Finn acts. Like she gets getting drunk, she's spouting her mouth off, she's always name dropping her uncle. She thinks she's big because of her relative is who has built this something, and that's pretty much Finn.
If you're asking me if I would hold on to all the stocks to have Anya, I would do it. I don't give a fuck.
She needs the talk. You think this is a game?
Yeah, seriously. She calls Tommy boy to his face.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, let's do that because this is the next scene we can talk about. I guess it kind of gives you Great Gatsby vibes, right? Like her house, the lighting, the decorations, the drinking, the partying, the music, all of that. She's just in her fucking
attire,
bag, living it up. She's exactly. She kind of, she does look like she's acting like Beth Harmon, getting hammered, all of that.
Dancing
and she's just super confident, like Dave was saying. And then this is when Tommy, I think she answers the phone and they say,
Tommy's outside, probably,
and then she goes, I guess send him in or something like that.
She basically was saying like, interesting, bring him in. Like she thinks it's a game. Like she literally thinks like, oh, this will be interesting. Bring him on in. You don't talk like that about Tommy Shelby.
God, these are just my two idols going at it. It's so tough for me to pick a side. Okay, the only thing we need to talk about for this scene that we haven't already covered is just that flip of the switch that Tommy uses, right?
That was my question. That was what I was gonna ask.
Because this is when he kind of just throws his fucking balls on the table and is like, he gives them the ultimatum and says, if Uncle Jack isn't buying this shit, I'm gonna fucking sell to the Jews to I have a really good connection through the Solomon family because of Alfie, which is awesome because he's popping up in this season.
This guy had cancer in the end of season 4. 4-year time jump. Half his face is screwed up. I'm hoping we get him, and I'm sure we will. But my gosh, how is he alive?
It's that coastal air and those views.
That's Mark Gates just been doing it for him, man. Shooting those boats, shooting all the boats, and
that's so funny. If he doesn't come, there's no way they're gonna have like an off-screen Alfie died from cancer death.
Yeah. If they bring him back for the end of season 5 as a surprise, you don't just get rid of him. Or I mean, that's a good point. You could just say if you say the Solomon family, then he's gonna be in it. You could just not talk about him because, to be honest, like Alfie Solomons doesn't have to be part of the story 4 years later. But if you bring up Solomons, then he's gotta be there.
I want to be clear too. Was it the Solomons control East Boston, and then Uncle
East
Jack
Boston
controls
Jews, right?
like South, like almost a majority?
I think
of
it's just more about a turf war within Boston, which is the biggest commercial center through ports, I guess, besides like New York and that whole area. So I think it's just how Birmingham was split up between a bunch of people. I don't think it's
Birmingham.
Birmingham. I think it's just Boston.
I was also confused because
think
later in the episode they also start saying like East and West, as in like East being Asia and then West being the United States.
No, it's pretty much that the Jewish community in Boston controls like the east side of the city.
Okay.
The Irish people are in the south. They made it sound like, and I assume the Italians are somewhere.
They said
in the
Italians, and some other
The Irish.
I think are the
Irish. Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought that was gonna be important as we were watching the episode, like the whole American structure and the turf war that could potentially happen there. But because the whole Ruby thing happens at the end and Tommy's going back, and then also Uncle Jack's going to England, it seems like we're gonna be doing everything in England, which kind of makes sense. That's just like where all the settings are. It's more comfortable. So I don't know if it's gonna matter as much besides Boston.
Maybe set up for movie down the line, but
True.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything else you guys want to bring up from that conversation before Gina just says, he says no deal, ultimatum happens, and then he just like walks out.
No.
Yeah. And then
You think he's gonna bang her?
No.
She'll be in England, dude.
Although I did see something today that was like literally every season there's a hot chick that gets introduced and it's like, Tommy's not gonna bang her, and then Tommy bangs her. So if he cocks Michael, that would be crazy.
He basically says he's going to Michael when they have their confrontation at the jail. He's literally just like, here's everyone that's coming.
That's so true.
And your girlfriend.
And your girl's coming, and I'll take care of her in England. He literally says it.
Let's before we get to that specific conversation, quickly let's go over that phone call with Lizzie and Tommy post-coital, where he's just rolling out of bed just after banging that girl.
What a Gumar.
Some things will never change. The drinking might, but the banging of chicks will never.
You know the world's ending if he quits cigs. As long as he's blasting off, we're good. Okay.
So what did you guys think was like worth talking about from that conversation with Lizzie?
Just the fact that Johnny Dogs is the guy.
Yeah.
He's the doc. His wives are the
wives.
Dogs.
Yeah. What's the one's name? Esmeralda or something? Or did I just make that up?
They don't even matter.
My head and say,
but pretty much, Tommy's doing the typical like, checking in phone call. He is saying some good things. It is important that he does say again, he said it before, but he's like, once this deal's done, I'm out.
Yeah.
Is he telling the truth? Can he ever get out of the game? How many times have we seen that character, plot point for some of our main characters of different shows? Can he get out of the game? He can't get out of the game. But
no.
He says,
the game.
Yeah, exactly. He says he wants to get out of the game. He wants to hold Ruby. They're going to be together. Obviously, that would make Lizzie happy. Then she drops the bomb that Ruby's sick, and at first it's not really that big of a thing. He cares, obviously, but if there's one thing, he might talk shit on Lizzie when he needs to, or not when he, I guess, needs to, but when he wants to, and he might talk shit on a lot of people, but when it comes to his kids, he loves them, and he loves Grace to this day, but he treats Ruby just like he does his son, I would say.
Yeah.
Right?
He talks a little shit on Charlie in season 5.
He gets mad.
He deserves it.
That guy doesn't listen. That guy doesn't listen.
He doesn't listen.
Probably deserved that.
But yeah, so then she lets it out, like slip that she was talking in her sleep. She had the 101 fever. She's talking nonsense. She was talking, what's the gypsy language?
Romanian or something? It was
Romani, right?
Romani, yeah.
Romani and what is it?
Romani.
Okay, I said Romani. She's speaking Romani, Johnny Dogs. Kids are teaching her how to do it, and then she says what it is. Now we don't know what it means, but obviously it means something important. It means some kind of omen, maybe an Aunt Paul kind of thing that we would understand. And he's basically thinking that she's saying she's going to die.
I also thought it was a good connection. And the problem is that when I was rewatching season 5, I checked out kind of for like one scene. And this is the scene that of course it connects to, is when Tommy's asking his uncle about the circumstances around his mother's death. When she goes into, she basically just walked into the canal and didn't walk out. Yeah. So again, like I'm saying, like, of course that scene was important because I wasn't really listening to the dialogue specifically because something was happening at that time. But I think she was saying like, this is what Tommy's being reminded of in his head, is like his mother was saying all these crazy gypsy things and then went and killed herself, or like bad omens happened, then she died. You could take it either way. And that's the same thing with Ruby.
We're talking about the sapphire. We're talking about the black horse. We're talking about when he was having the dreams about Michael being the rat.
Yeah.
Any kind of gypsy omen. I mean, he believed anytime Aunt Paul was saying there was something going on with her feelings, like, you know, her sight. Like when he tells Michael, and I think this is the season that you didn't really like Aunt Paul as much, when she right after she's about to get hung, and you know, she's a little effed up and she's doing all the drugs and she's just sitting in her house, and you know, he tells Michael to tell Aunt Paul, like, tell your mom I 100% believe that she has the sight, and the people that she's saying she's seeing, I believe you.
Yeah.
Get rid of those drugs and blah, blah, blah. Like, and she knew right away, like, okay, you're speaking Tommy's words. But basically, like, Tommy believes the gypsy stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Which is kind of cool. That's a cool layer to him.
Yeah. I mean, he went all the way to the gypsy lady who was it Johnny Dogs's? Was she part of Johnny Dogs's group when he had to ask her? Yeah, probably. Who isn't, dude? Who isn't? When he had to ask her about the sapphire, he said, "Will you take this?" Like, he did a journey. He took Johnny Dogs on this journey only to ask this lady if she would take the sapphire, because he wanted to know if it was cursed for real by a gypsy. So yeah, he takes this stuff seriously. He says right away, "I'm coming home." I mean, you know how big of a deal it is if he's coming home, because the business is a big deal to him right now. I mean, he wasn't coming in, like, she said, "We can't come, Ruby's sick," and he's like, "Oh, that sucks, but I'll see you later," pretty much. And then as soon as they start talking about the gypsy stuff, all the words she's saying, he's like, "I'll be home."
The one other big thing, obviously, to mention here is not only just the speech that she says, but she also mentions that she was seeing a man with green eyes, like,
and a black horse, right?
And a black horse. Now, do we have any theories on that? Because literally, I was just getting like flashes of like The Witcher, like the Wild Hunt kind of shit. Like, this is just like an omen of like bad fortune coming this way. But like, I didn't know if does Tommy Shelby have green eyes?
Well, they zoom in on his face.
That's
and
what
I'm
I was
pretty
trying to
sure it
look
was
at.
showing us that they were green.
That's what I was thinking. So like, maybe it was a foreshadowing of that he will be her downfall, and that's why after that phone call, he's like, "Paul, like, this is all catching up to me," as in like, almost like karma is catching up with me, and like, now because I'm not out of the game, I'm gonna end up having all this bad shit happen to the people around me, is how I took it.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, he says to Lizzie, "Don't let her near her horse. Don't let her near the water. Don't let her near Johnny Dog's kids." He's talking about accidents that can kill her. Don't let her on the horse because it could knock her off. Don't let her near the water so she can drown. Like, he's thinking the omen is that she's gonna die.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like you said, it could definitely have something to do with him, Dave. I have no idea about that part, and I'm sure we'll get more when Tommy gets home and he talks to Johnny Dogs, the goat. But I mean, for now, he's thinking, don't let her out of her room. Don't let her die, pretty much.
So if we're good there, final scene, which we also kind of already hit on a little bit, and this is that conversation. He goes into prison in Boston and talks to Michael and just lays down the law. He already taunts him with Gina and Uncle Jack going over to England and how he's going to head back over too and take care of business. Michael's stuck because Uncle Jack needs to leave him there for, it was press purposes, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
media.
Essentially, like, if they let him go, it's a bad look on Uncle Jack or like just the United States, I guess, in general, because obviously he was locked up for something illegal, like opium. But if he stays in there, then that sends a bad message to the people within Uncle Jack's organization, as like, maybe like,
can't take care of your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So that was Tommy's plan for the whole ultimatum, and it actually is why it makes sense.
Yeah. This was the second time that I wrote down when he's walking through the jail that the music was fucking amazing.
I give me all the Tommy Shelby walk up music and like scenes of him like just hat down and then like slowly looking up, like, feed me all. It
was so goddamn good.
But how did we not get fucking Red Right Hand at all?
Yeah, okay, we forgot to mention that we didn't get the.
I'm pissed. I was just waiting for it.
They didn't end the episode with anything because it was the dedication to Helen McCrory.
True.
That was the quiet finish. There was like breezes. I think it was like
And
a
it was in the
breeze in the background. And in the beginning, we didn't get it, and during we didn't get it. So
it was. I would say the beginning also might. It was. Was it quiet too? Like the funeral. It was the funeral scene, and then it says Peaky Blinders. I'm pretty sure.
No. It was him right after the suicide attempt. But yeah, you're right. Like they usually do it right around there, but they also didn't. So
right,
maybe it was just for more just praising of like Aunt Polly. Like let's give her her time.
I don't have any like summarizing thoughts other than the fact that it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad we're fucking back watching Peaky Blinders. But I will say that I'm just very interested to see what type of Uncle Jack connections there is with the IRA. If he is like the guy in the city of Boston, he is Irish.
Right.
If he runs it, there's no way that there's not some level of, I mean, maybe he doesn't support the IRA cause. Maybe there's no way. I feel like if he is like even like a second generation Irish immigrant to America,
it would only benefit him to support it, right?
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely not a monarchist or a loyalist or a crownist, whatever they call themselves back then. So I just that has to some point get fleshed out. That's even more of like Michael, because Michael gets caught in Belfast by the IRA when he's coming back to America after Black Tuesday, after the stock market crashes, and that's why Tommy doesn't trust him. Well, that's part of the reason why Tommy doesn't trust him. So it seems almost so obvious that Michael, now that we know that Uncle Jack is a thing, I feel like we had no idea that Gina was this connected in season 5.
No, it was mentioned. It was definitely mentioned.
Not to this level.
No,
we knew she was going to be important for the business portfolio plan that Michael laid out.
I think it was that we knew she was definitely well off from her family. I don't know if
I feel like
no, they did say, I think they did say there's connections, but nothing to this level.
Yeah, this is like pretty insane. So it just feels so obvious that Michael has this connections to the Irish community in Boston, who then has connections to the IRA, who is basically fucking with Shelby Company Limited. I feel like there's too much obvious shit going on there.
We still don't know who the rat is, right? Like we just are led to believe it's Michael, or is it confirmed that it was Michael?
No. That's what we talked about. That's why I was saying it could be Finn. Like,
I don't think it was Michael.
I think
it's too obvious to be Michael. I feel like.
I feel like
he's getting so
Michael
much hate right now.
Well, Michael specifically was out of the room when he gave the plan. Michael wasn't privy to it unless someone told him. Tommy, I definitely don't think it's Michael, because 4 years later, when Tommy's saying, I'm going to go bang your girl in London, Michael will be like, yo, you put me in jail. You're going to try to bang my girl. Well, I was the reason why, the IRA screwed you over.
True.
He could totally nail
the
Tommy
old
with
bartender, that. Right? At the Garrison. Didn't they?
He's
they killed
dead.
him.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but they killed him because of IRA contacts, right? That was right after the meeting.
That was what killed Ben Younger.
Yeah. And that was why Arthur got ambushed when they were going for the
in Chinatown.
Yeah.
I like your idea of it being the singer.
I think it was. I mean,
it's a possibility because
another
he got
red herring potentially, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he was tied up in all of that. He definitely has a reason to hate the Shelbys. So
yeah,
I definitely think there's something to be.
They were making good money. He was getting blow. He was.
I agree.
Chicks.
I feel like
by the end of it, he was literally like him and Finn were homies. It looked like.
Boys. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I think there's something to be said that Finn.
That's the thing about it is like, sure, he could be. Maybe that was all a ruse. Him like being friends with Finn. Like,
it's pretty easy to fake enjoying money, booze, blow, and chicks. So probably not the toughest acting job he's ever had.
Are we gonna see Oswald this season?
Oh my, we better.
We have to. That was like my next. Bro? That was my next question. Was my biggest complaint about this time skip aspect of this episode is we don't really have a good lay of the land outside of just like what happened in U.S. and world history of like where the IRA stands, where the fascists are with being Mosley, and then the communists with Isolde from The Last Kingdom. What's her name? Eden.
Charlie Murphy.
No,
that's her actress's name. I'm sorry.
What the fuck? Something Eden.
I know who you're talking about.
Jesse Eden. Redo that.
Yeah, so and Jesse Eden from I don't fucking know what I was thinking of.
I was like, what?
Yeah, just add Jesse Eden and we'll fix it.
Well, like redo it.
Jesse Eden. I just all I'm saying is I want to know where the political parties stand in terms of world building in this.
Right.
I'm using world building in quotes because it's history.
It's
Yeah, it's the same way I was like world building.
Yeah.
We're world building right now. We're
Redo that one.
Yeah.
Jesse.
That's gold. But actually, something I want to bring up is like some of the major political people that we still need to see are Mosley, Eden. I think the president of the United States now is a case to be introduced into all this. Now that we have
FDR?
Uncle Jack and FDR.
And his son gets mentioned. He's on the boat to England with. Uncle
Okay,
Jack.
so he's definitely okay. I think that boat scene is going to be huge with whatever. Maybe Tommy Shelby finally introduces himself to the president.
He's not. I don't think Tommy's on that boat. I think
No.
he's saying currently those 5 are on the boat.
Yeah. But I think Winston
son.
Churchill is also someone I would like to see make another appearance, and just because he's been having his way with the Shelbys, I feel like, and he needs a little bit more little teachings from Tommy, even though he is the minister of whatever.
This is how I got the whole thing spoiled for me of who Uncle Jack's actor is that the showrunner is he's not a real Jack Nelson isn't a real person, but is loosely based off of Joseph Kennedy Sr., so JFK's dad.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Which might make sense because they had, their whole family has incredible Boston ties, right? Like that.
Yeah.
He would just be a big figure around then. So
wow.
Who was the Kennedy that's going to be on the boat?
It's not a Kennedy, it's a Roosevelt.
Oh, Roosevelt. Okay, so that's what
it's FDR's son, whether it's James or I think he has a junior, and I don't know who it's going to be.
Cool.
But that's interesting. I was for some reason like a dumbass was like shocked that Oswald Mosley was like a real person.
I'm shocked that he wasn't in this episode.
He's totally going to be in 2.
Yeah, he'll be in it ASAP. That's why I was joking when I asked. But I honestly try not to look up any kind of history with that. Just because I don't know if they're going to just go a certain route, and I'm going to be like, oh shit, I just found out he's going to die in episode like 4 because the history says so. So I don't know really anything about him specifically.
Yeah, I'm thinking episode 2, we're getting Red Right Hand and we're getting Mosley.
That's what I wanted to open this up to before we get out of here and make this our last thing is quick predictions for the season, including things like what Kyle just said and like who's going to live into
Deathful.
I think that Finn is going to die. I think
Finn
and Arthur are going to die.
Not make it to the movie or make it to the movie and die.
We're doing this season, so talk this season here.
The movie is such a wrinkle. I have no idea how to guess off of the movie.
Especially because there could be like a 10-year jump. Any kind of jump.
All right. Outrageous take. Lizzie dies. May comes back and is the girl.
Oh, man.
Okay. Let me ask you guys a question. Will Ruby die?
Probably.
Yeah.
You could send Tommy off the rails and make him do some crazy shit.
You think he's gonna drink after Ruby dies?
Sure.
There you go.
That would be it. All right, there's our episode 2. Ruby dies.
Jesus.
I don't need her to die in episode 2, man. Let her live a little bit longer.
Luke's prediction would come true, and it would take 2 episodes for Tommy Shelby to drink.
So, my prediction, I guess, would be I see this going one of 2 ways. Either we're going to have this whole season line up Michael versus Tommy in the movie, or Michael is the Big Bang death at the end of this season. And then the movie is about cleaning up Mosley, the communists and fascists, and like what actually happened in real world history leading to Tommy's death, Walter White style, at the very end of the movie. Like he's obviously going to make it to the movie. I just think there's almost no chance that he lives the movie, even though I fucking will do anything for Tommy to live. I really, really hope they break the mold and actually have him somehow live. Maybe even like Dexter style, where he's like torturing himself, like by being alone or something.
I was gonna say
he becomes a lumberjack, and
I'm in.
I was gonna say he deserves happiness, but I don't know if that's entirely true.
Fuck no.
Yeah. So that's why I think he's just like he's gonna die in the biz. Obviously, like that's what he's been trying to avoid this season already. We've seen, and I think but we're making predictions for this season, so I already said mine. But
so I don't know exactly how the season ends, obviously, but there was rumors for years that the season ends when the air horns start blowing for World War II.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Like thinking about are we gonna get to World War II, or will the movie stop before that?
Doesn't that mean 5 or 6 more years? When did World War II start?
1942.
At least, yeah. Well, I mean, actually, technically not. 1942-ish was like when the U.S. got involved, but
It's
the
either
actual
42
war.
or
No, I'm pretty sure that Hitler invaded Poland in
it
like
was like
39.
38.
That's
yeah,
okay. So
38
yeah,
or
so
39.
6 years,
Yeah.
5 years, because it's basically December of 33 right now.
I
That's
have no
doable.
idea if he's going to stick to it. It's the that's what he always said was probably going to be the way to end. And I always read interviews or Reddit pieces of people saying that they're kind of annoyed that they know the ending because he basically came out and said like that's how the end is going to start, or that is how we're going to finish the show.
That makes sense.
I like it.
I want one thing on the board though. I'm so worried about Arthur. I think he's at right now where we've seen him. He could be like not a throwaway character, but he could definitely be a major death right now. Like if
I
he's
feel
gonna,
like,
like we've already seen him try and recover from this. Like he already had that with his wife of the drinking and the drugs. He kind of got off of it for a little bit, and now he's back on it. So, do we have that in it? Like, did the writers have that in it to give him that redemption arc again of overcoming those things, or is it like, or do we just give him the kill and then just make it a big deal?
I could see him just sacrificing. Maybe he like sacrifices himself for Finn or something like that. I feel like that could be a nice end to his story.
If he dies, Tommy Shelby's definitely dying in the movie. That's what I would say.
If there wasn't a movie, I would throw out one of my weird theories that I would say almost every main Shelby character except for Tommy dies.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tommy's whole thing has always been, with the younger generation, stay the hell away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be almost like, okay, no matter what, I'm bad for this world. Finn dies, Arthur dies, whether Tommy dies or not. I'm just saying that, the way it would end would be that they would just kind of be wiped out, and it would have the younger generation be whoever the hell they're going to be, hopefully good.
Mm-hmm.
But now that there's a movie, I just believe you keep going with Tommy and just do your Tommy story.
We played this game with Last Kingdom, and it's just so hard. Like, it's so hard to predict what was going to happen in season 5 while also trying to guess what was going to happen in the movie. It's just it's difficult.
Yeah.
I think we can leave it at that then.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Great
baby.
opener.
I will say though, like I always like a little more action. No, I was just my thoughts would just be like what I want going forward is more of those dead eye Tommy Shelby shots. Absolutely. Give me sober Tommy shooting a gun any day of the week.
Give me drunk Tommy doing that.
All right, guys, our first ever Peaky Blinders episode is complete. We're going to cover each individual episode. We've been waiting forever. We were thinking about doing 2 episodes at a time, but we want to go deep dive for each episode. So we're going to do 1 through 6. And like Dave said, when he started, we have the screeners. So we are going to do our best to be getting these out to you guys ASAP because we know you like to binge like us. So if you like what you heard, check us out at BingetownTV.com. You can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps. This will also be on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate any new subscriber, any like on the YouTube channel. If you want to support, the pod, you can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/BingetownTV. $5 a month, you get all of our exclusive content. We have a lot of fun with the random episodes, just off the cuff, talking about whatever. Guys, this was a great time. Peaky's back.
Woo.
Let's do it. Don't F with the Peaky Blinders.
Let's
This
go.
is Bingetown TV, and thank you so much for listening.
On to episode 2.